Okay, that probably is working now, right? That is weird. Oh, that's a bummer. So that means that whole time. Thanks for the heads up, Sean. I appreciate that, man. I don't know what happened, but it looks like OBS didn't. That's so weird. Hey, now that we thought about that, that makes me want to check the recording that I did with our podcast, because there's a good chance the audio wasn't working on that. That would suck. For some dumb reason, OBS likes to turn off the audio settings, and I don't know why. That is a bummer. All right, well, at least we got it set up. So that actually makes me want to just kind of go back. I'll check the audio later on that interview, by the way. What a bummer. All right, well, let's get this fired back up. I'm just going to start fresh from the beginning here. I'm not even going to... wonder if I should stop the recording and then redo it. That might make more sense. Now, you know what? I'll just clip it later on. So, all right. Well, thanks for the heads up, man. I appreciate that. It's nice to have somebody verify what the hell's going on. So anyways, I'm just going to start back from the intros since I was talking to myself for half an hour. So, yeah, basically, guys, let's just start from the beginning here. This is this is Virus Podcast, episode 77. This is not a coronavirus podcast, but one that we have contagious combos and viral viewpoints on. And I'll talk a lot about self-improvement and talk a lot about current events and some things that are going on and some things that are valuable and have substance to it. So I apologize for anybody who's live streaming, watching this and didn't hear the audio. So yeah, I'm glad that Sean said something to me. Otherwise, I may have done that whole podcast for 2 hours on mute, which would have been a huge bummer. Bad enough I did a half an hour, so I couldn't imagine if I did 2 hours. But I have had worse episodes, so you know how it goes with the technical difficulties. But yeah, I guess let me give the plugs real quick. So yeah, if you're not familiar, you can find these live streams on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and you'll find the posted content on Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, and Anchor FM. So give me a like, give me a share, subscribe, follow me, and spread some love. Help me keep that momentum rolling as I continue to have these technical difficulties on these podcasts, right? All right, so yeah, real quick here, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I've been doing the last few weeks, because it's been, I think, 2 or 3 weeks since I've done a podcast. I think we skipped 2 Saturdays, and so I'll catch you guys up to speed, let you know what I've been doing. So one of the main things I've been doing is, if you remember me talking about this, I've been part of the licensee team for Grant Cardone. So I partnered up with Grant Cardone, and that's consumed a lot of my time, which it should. I've been setting up a lot of all my platforms for social media content. I've been setting up, so yeah, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, what else? I think there's another one, my landing page. There was another one. I know there's 5 things, but yeah, it's required a lot of attention, and it's required a little bit of a content schedule for me to stay up on. And so that's kind of what's been tying up a lot of my time. Plus I'm involved with a lot of other things like running this podcast, parenting. I'm part of a full-time band as well. And so doing a lot of these things, trying to make sure that I'm spreading that attention out and making sure I'm highly active and productive in all these areas of my life. So the other thing that I did that really tied up my time in the last couple weeks, weekends, was we had 4th of July. 4th of July happened. Hopefully everybody had a good 4th of July, got to enjoy some fireworks or spend time with family or whatever it is that you do on the 4th of July. But what I was talking about earlier that you guys didn't hear me talk about was I actually took 2 days off. I took Saturday and Sunday off, and I went to Ocean Shores with my daughter Malia, and I just made family time out of those days, which I haven't done in a while. And so it felt good to do that. It was last minute, spur of the moment. They didn't have many rooms at many places. It was so packed. Thousands of people out there. We got the last room that was available at the casino, and so I took it, and we committed, and then figured the rest out later. And so it was fun. It was definitely hectic. There's a lot of people there, but it was fun. It was a cool experience for Malia. She had never really been around that many fireworks and that many people. I don't think just that much activity. So in case none of you guys have been there, Ocean Shores is basically this little town on the very corner on the ocean on the side of Washington on the bottom left side. And so it gets crazy out there on 4th of July. It's like the war zone out there. I mean, you got fireworks going off right above you and all around you. Tons of people just really enjoying themselves. And it can get pretty hectic and dangerous to say the least. So Malia had a good time. I bought a ton of fireworks for her, and she was just setting them off and doing her own thing. And then at a certain point there, she was just she tells me like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to head out, Dad. I've seen enough. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I guess we can get out of here. And it was funny because I personally didn't like that many people either. I mean, I liked the fireworks and all that. It was really great. I really did it just for her so she could have the experience. So when she said like, yeah, I'm ready to check out, Dad, it's funny because I kind of, I was like, oh, wow, I realized like you are my daughter. We have some similarities. So she was ready to get out of there. And it took an hour and a half just to get off the beach. I mean, there was a 3-lane bumper to bumper traffic line that had been formed right by the water. There's no way to get off it. You got to go in this line, and everybody's cutting each other off, and half the people were drunk. So it was pretty crazy just getting out of there. But it was a good time. It was a good experience for her. The best part of that trip, though, I would say, was the fact that me and her got to explore during the day, a couple days that they weren't lighting off fireworks. We hit the beach. We hit those rock walls that were kind of, I don't know what you call those, but those rock formations that are kind of projected out into the ocean. It's like a quarter mile out there. It's a good stretch of these giant rocks that you got to basically scale and crawl over. And we did that. It was a good little bonding experience. Me and her walked all the way out there. And I took my drone with me. I got a ton of killer drone videos. And we just had a good time. It was good to see her, starting out rock climbing and scaling these rocks with, she's scared. She got to figure out how to get her footing. She hadn't done anything like that really. And it was nice to watch her progress through that and get more confident and kind of scale these rocks. She was just kind of getting a little crazy there for a while. I was like, hey, you gotta, be safe. Even though I like watching, you progress in this, and I'm glad that you're comfortable doing that. Just be careful. So it was fun though. It was a good workout. We got to do that. It was a good bonding experience. So that was the best time for me because like I said, I don't get that much time. Well, I don't create that much time to, 10x my family life. I do a lot of activity and productivity in the businesses I run and the hobbies that I have. I guess really just one hobby at this point, and that's the band. I've really put a lot more, I guess this is a hobby too. The podcast is a hobby, but I think it's more of a necessary thing in my opinion. Providing people value and contributing through my life experiences in any way that I can help, I think is absolutely necessary. So it was a good experience, and I really enjoyed it. And so that's what I did last weekend. And so I can't remember what the following weekend we did, but there was definitely something that came up. I think we were stuck doing something at some time, and I didn't want to rush to get into the podcast because we've been missing mine and my daughter's podcast, which if you're not familiar with that, it's called the Dynamic Duo Podcast, and me and her chat about things and read books and have a good time on Sundays at 7. So we skipped out on that as well. So get back in gear. It feels good to be back, chat about these things, kind of go over some of the stuff that I've learned in the last week. I love these podcasts. I love talking about what I learned. Like I said, people like to share things, and they like to share what they've learned. It's just human nature, when they learn something, especially when it's something that's helped them, they really like to share that, because it's kind of, you're projecting your successes out there. You're projecting what's worked for you in hopes of, if you like helping people, it's in hopes of being able to help somebody else too. So really cool stuff. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about these topics here that I was talking about that apparently nobody was hearing. So thought I can get away from the technical difficulties, but man, they always rear their ugly face in sometimes, But yeah, the first thing I wanted to chat about was being omnipresent. Now, I might have talked about this before, so if I sound like a broken record, it's because I am. I talk a lot about, I kind of circle back to things I have talked about before. And, Grant likes to say, if there's something that you've heard that's valuable, that you've heard once and you got so much value out of it, you should listen to it again. If it's worth listening to once, it's worth listening to twice and even more. So, you might hear something and, hear it again for a second, third, fourth, fifth time, and you're going to hear it differently. You might actually, for some reason that day and that time, you're going to hear it and it's going to resonate with you much differently. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know why. It's just a fact though. So it is good to kind of re-listen or watch content that you got a ton of value out of, or that is something that's helpful to you, because you can gain more and more from that. It's hard to kind of retain all that stuff. So, which is why I do daily training. This is why I teach companies to get on a daily training system, to get their employees established on a measurable accountability system that they're training on every day, because that's what it takes. It takes training every single day. Something that you want to get better at, you're going to have to do it every single day. And that's just a fact. So let's go back to what I was talking about though, being omnipresent. We'll talk about what it means, how important it is in a business. And then we'll talk about how important it is on a personal application as well. So for business, it's absolutely necessary to be omnipresent. What does that mean? It means be everywhere. People should know your brand. They should know your logo. They should have heard the name of your company. They should have seen some of your work on social media. You want to make sure that you're just constantly you're just incepting people's mind with your product and your service. You want to make sure that you're there. That's really what being omnipresent is. Just making sure like, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be here. And I'll talk about, how that kind of applies to your personal life. But yeah, a little saying that, Brandon Dawson likes to say is you should treat the three activities of a successful business is promote, promote, promote. Constantly promote. Do those things. Do social media. Do live video selfies. Posted content. Podcasts like this. Anything to project what you're about. You should always have an elevator pitch ready to go. You need to know what to say if somebody says, hey man, what do you do? Whether it's, hey, what do you do for a living? Or, hey, what do you do for your free time? Hey, what are you into? Hey, what are you all about? You need to have an answer for that. And you need to come off strong. And you need to be confident. And you need to be ready for it. And part of that is getting that attention that you want. We all want attention in some form, whether it's having somebody hit you up for your product or service, or whether it's for like our band, having people like our band or follow our music. It can be applied in anything. You got to be omnipresent, and in order to do that, you got to put yourself out there a lot. The nice thing about social media these days is that people get scared because it's scary doing social media, doing video selfies and doing posted content. It can be nerve-wracking, and it's uncomfortable at first. Absolutely. These podcasts were absolutely uncomfortable. If you go back and look at some of the first ones I've done, terrible, absolutely terrible. I don't know what I was doing. I might have been confident on a certain level, but not knowing what to say, not knowing what direction to take, not knowing, just not knowing, let's put it that way, got me, it was scary. And so it's taken a long, now that I've got, episode 77, that's a lot of time, 2 hours an episode, 150-ish hours of podcasting under my belt. It's gotten a lot easier. I could sit here and sit in front of a camera. Plus I do social media posting. I do a lot of live feeds, live video, selfies. All that stuff will get you uncomfortable, and it's part of promoting as well. But it is absolutely necessary. And in order to promote, you're going to have to push yourself out there and get in your uncomfort spot, because that's where the growth is at, as simply as where it's at. So be omnipresent, promote, put yourself out there. People need to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that's some of the things I'm starting to learn now, is creating a story, telling a little bit more about myself, talking about a problem that I've had that maybe someone else may have, and then present an offer. Usually I have an offer. I'm into a lot of things, and so whether it's the business, the home improvement business, or the Cardone licensee program that I'm established with, there is something for me to offer. And so even in my personal life, there's something for me to offer. And so let's talk about, we talked about omnipresence in a business setting. Let's talk about how it's applied to your personal life. Being omnipresent provides a lot of value. What I was talking about was, that unfortunately you guys didn't hear that first half hour, was it can be something as simple as, your family, like the relationship I have with my daughter, just letting her know, like, if I'm always there, I'm always, calling her, I'm always checking up on her. I bought her a phone so I can call her whenever I want. She can call me whenever I want. I'm always just walking into the room like, hey, sweetheart, how you doing? Just checking in, make sure you're all good. That stuff goes a long way. That's part of being omnipresent too. It's something as simple as just letting a person know, like, hey, I'm here. I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you need help with something. I'm just here. Just letting you know I'm here. That something that seems so simple like that goes a long way, and it has you get a lot of reciprocation out of that. All right, it's received really well, because it's a sense of security, especially with someone you care about. Having that establishment that, like, you're letting them know that, like, hey, I'm omnipresent in this relationship, and I'm showing up. I'm here all the time. That stuff goes a long way, and that can be, obviously, if you can have that relationship with your family. Your children, you obviously can have that in your whole family setting with your spouse as well. Letting them know, that stuff goes a long way. Just the simplicity of just saying, hey, I am here. I'm here when you need me. I'm here when you need help. I'm here for anything. And so I think that has a lot of value. So omnipresence is not just like a strategy. It's something that's needed, in my opinion. It's something that is needed for strength in so many aspects. And so super important, even friendships, letting people know, like, hey, I'm here if you ever need to talk about something. I'm here if you need help with this. I'm here if you need help with that. I'm here if you just want to talk, the most simple things have the most value sometimes, and being omnipresent in your personal life is one of those things. So, that's how I think, and if you're going to be omnipresent, by the way, number one rule of success is to show up. All right, that's the number one thing to do, is to show up. In order to be successful at anything, you got to show up first. You got to show up, and you got to be 100% present. You got to be 100% focused and involved. Turn your phone off. Focus in on this thing that you're going to commit to, all right? And let it be known to the person or the activity that you're doing, or the organization or whatever it is, that, like, hey, I'm here. So I want you to know, like, I'm fully here. So, it's just something I want you to know. Well, it's nice to know, by the way, I'm glad to see that the Restream chat is working on my phone app, because if I wouldn't have seen Sean's heads up on that notification, I would have been screwed. Would have done a whole podcast on silence. All right, so let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics. I think I did a huge segment on this a few episodes back because when I learned about it, I did a whole week of studying and learning about this particular topic, and it blew my mind. And it has helped me close people. It's helped my pitch. It's helped me. It's helped the business and in life. Actually, I've applied it in my life in different aspects, and it's totally necessary, totally worth it. But that thing is the follow-up. All right. Follow-up is so important. I had no idea. I mean, I had an idea, let's put it that way, but I didn't know how much how very necessary it is to follow up with people on anything. But when we're talking about, again, we'll talk about business, we'll talk about personal life here to kind of just give a little bit of contrast. But in business, the follow-up is so important. It's extremely, extremely important because the amount of times that you follow up is a testament to how much you care, how much you are showing up. It falls in line with showing up. Following up. If you're constantly, if you call somebody, set up an appointment, email them to confirm that the appointment's there, show up to the appointment, email them again after the appointment, text them a video of you chatting, and then call them again. I mean, you're just nailing them, right, with follow-up. They're like, Jesus, this person he's on his thing. Like, I don't know if I should be annoyed by him or be happy that like he's on top of it. And most times it's the latter. They are absolutely happy that they're dealing with an individual who prides themselves on the follow-up and understands how important that is to follow up and communicate with people. So follow-up, certainly one of the most important things when it comes to sales. Now, one thing I may not have talked about when I talked about sales a while ago is, what's up, Ricky? Risky, what's up, dude? You see, I want to address your comment here because if you totally agree with this, I'm absolutely happy about that, man. So yeah, Risky, you're saying you couldn't agree more. You see someone walking up a flight of stairs, follow them up late at night in a parking garage stairwell, follow them up. Oh, you're hilarious. You got me, man. You trolled me. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about full-on communication. So think about anything that you care about and follow up with that thing, all right? If you're doing a job interview, follow up with that thing. If you're starting a business that requires you to communicate with people, follow up with them constantly. I have put this into practice immediately as soon as I learned the statistics of this, basic stuff where, it takes 5 to 12 contacts for somebody to actually make a decision with you. So knowing things like that is actually going to solidify how important it is to actually follow up with people. So one thing I didn't talk about, thanks, man. One thing I didn't talk about was the follow-up after you've actually convinced somebody with your idea or a sale, whatever that is. When you follow up with somebody after you've established an agreement with them, that goes a long way too. A lot of people, this is what separates a good business and a good person from the rest. All right. When you've actually closed, and I'm going to give you 2 examples. When you are, let's say you sell a service or a product, right? And you pitch the hell out of your product. You build yourself up, you build your team up, you build your company up, and your product, whatever that is, and you close them. All right, they agree. Like, okay, fine. This guy, you followed up with them 5 times or more to finally get that business, and then you close them. You have an agreement. Now you've locked in an established agreement where you guys are going to transact with something. This is where you need to also follow up again. Now, this is where businesses kind of, for lack of better words, suck. They suck at this. Once they've actually closed a person, let's talk about sales for a second. Once they've actually sold the product, they are poor at following up with just communicating with like updates or even just giving them a simple thank you. Sending them a video text or calling them or email saying, hey, thanks for your business. Thanks for putting your trust in me. Thanks for putting your trust in my business and my team to actually deliver this for you. It means a lot to us. We're not going to let you down. I want you to know that I'm going to be in full communication with you, let you know what's going on at all times. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be in touch soon. Stuff like that goes a long way. And so people fall off once they get the sale. They think that's it. And this is where bad reviews kind of come into play. When you don't follow up, and again, one of my rants here at the end of today's podcast is part of that. I'll tell you about a bad experience that I'm having right now. But yeah, following up after you've actually established an agreement with somebody is so imperative. It's just as important as following up with somebody to get that business or get that agreement or get somebody to do something with you. Because it solidifies how much you are going to show up for that relationship. It solidifies and it showcases how in tune you are, how committed you are. It speaks volumes as to what type of person you are and what you care about, what your intentions are. When people don't follow up after a sale, it seems like the intention was to just get a paycheck or get whatever it is from that person that you wanted, and then check out. And then they're kind of they were a symbol to you, they were a number to you, they were just an item to you. They really didn't mean much to you. And so this is one of the best practices you can do in life and in business, period. And follow-up has been one of the things I've been obsessed about for a lot, and especially in the last couple months when I've learned all these statistics that were studied by MIT and all these things that they came up with, how many times it takes to contact people to actually get them to make a decision, how much percentage the chances you converting somebody up goes if you just simply send them a text while you're on the phone with them. All these things I've done, and it completely works. And so it's crazy. Let's talk about how follow-up would. Now, I told you I'd give you an example of a business, how you would follow up in a business application, and then I would tell you how this applies in life. Let's say you're trying to get with somebody. You're trying to have a relationship with somebody. You see a girl or a guy that you like, and you really would like to have a relationship with this person, right? All right, so let's say you put the follow-up into that. Right, you've called them, you've texted them, you're constantly reaching out to this person like, hey, I'd like to set up that date, or they cancel on you, and you follow up again like, hey, I understand you couldn't make that, can we set it up for next week? And you do it again, they cancel on you. Like, hey, that's okay, I knew, we're all busy, I get it, let's set it up for another date. And then you text them in between that week like, hey, we still good for this date? So you followed up multiple times with this person, right, just to connect with them, to show them how much you're interested, to show them how important this could be to you. And let's say you have the best dinner date ever, and you decide, you become a relation, like you become a partner. Why can't I think of a word for it? You become a partner. You establish a partnership with somebody. Now you're a thing, right? You're an established relationship. That's essentially similar to an established agreement in a business, right? You've established an agreement. You're like, okay, we're going to be together. All right. The follow-up will also diminish. If it diminishes in a relationship after you've put so much effort into doing that, it definitely is going to come off as seeming phony. Like you just wanted that person for one thing, whether it's, sex or companionship, or their car or money or whatever. It could be anything. If you don't follow up with a person, then that clearly shows that you had ulterior motives and that your intention wasn't that you actually cared. Following up in a relationship is also going to show your level of commitment, your level of interest. The most successful relationships, I would argue, is the ones where people are following up, people are validating, their love for each other and how much they care for each other by simple things. It could just be constant texts, calls, communicating constantly, you know what I mean? Like just being on a full communicative relationship level is going to separate that relationship from the normal relationships as well. So the follow-up applies to every aspect of your life. So once you understand how important it is, start putting effort into it, start doing it, start playing around with this. I guarantee you, if you're not good at follow-up and you start doing this now and start dabbling with it, you're going to find out that it's going to get you results. But you can't do a little here. Like I say, it's not good to just dabble with it. If you're going to do it, commit first. Like commit and go all in and lean into that. Be like the best follow-up person there is out there, right? And watch things change for you like immediately. I promise you, it's going to work. So that's, yeah, I love, like I said, I could go on and on about follow-up and different layers and start peeling back those layers and see and kind of getting into it a little bit more and getting into the gradients of it. But I think you guys get the point. It's important. Do it. Start applying it. It 100% is proven to actually work. So, and I'll talk a little bit later about how disappointing it can be too, especially on a corporate level, and an individual level. You'll notice that when you get into corporations, they're terrible following up. That's because they have a quota. They have numbers to hit. They're not like a one-on-one personal type. They're not established like that as a business. They're meant to get that business with the system, and some of them are, but I think most of them, when it comes to corporations, they just aren't set up like that. They just don't care. They just simply don't. And you guys know what I mean if you've ever worked with one. So yeah, another thing I want to talk about here is showing up. I talked about this a little bit. This is super important. Showing up. Show up. First rule of success. Show up. Show up 100%. I just talked about this a minute ago. Make sure there's no distractions. That also is going to convey how important this thing that you're committing your time to is to the other person. All right? Not only that, it's going to benefit you. You're going to retain most of the information that you're actually trying to learn or what you're trying to be a part of. Whether it's an individual relationship or an organization, a meeting, whatever it is. Show up 100%, pay attention, do those little things like I said, turn your phone off, anything to show that you are completely there, you are absolutely present, and that you care about this one thing in that moment, in that time. Super beneficial, and it shows a lot. It really does. All right. I won't dive into that too much because I think it's self-explanatory. All right. Let's talk about haters a little bit. All right. I've talked about haters quite a bit. I think I did a whole segment on this a couple episodes back, talking about haters and the naysayers and who they are in your life, who they can be in your life, how people normally handle them, how they perceive haters, how they deal with them, how it affects them, how you should deal with them, how you should let it affect you. I've talked about this quite a bit. The most important thing, so what I want to specifically talk about, I guess, when it comes to haters is, let's talk about myself and use myself as an example, right? I'm going to make this about me, all right? But the way I deal with haters right now in my life is very different from the way I have dealt with haters in the past. If you're a lot like me, how I was, you cared what people thought about you a lot. And it's a bad road to go down. That's a bad thing to do. It's a bad mindset to have, because now you're basically a puppeteer. People own space. It's a bad thing for people to own that space in your head by them projecting negativity out to you. Right? And one thing I've learned is that you're never going to receive negative criticism from somebody who's more successful than you. Remember I said that. You will never receive criticism from somebody who is more successful than you. So if you're hearing negative stuff, If you're hearing people really talk bad about you or try to put you down or try to really derail you from your objective, your message, it's because they're not doing anything with themselves. It's because they got, they're all jacked up. Their internal dialogue is probably not the best. I would go and venture to say if they don't have anything better to do but to bring people down, they are down. Simple as that. They are down. They can lie to themselves all they want. They can put this facade on, project. But the fact of the matter is they have an insecurity, and that is the insecurity, that they don't think much of themselves. So they're going to try to bring you down to their level because that's what they're taught. That's what they have learned from somebody in their life. And they didn't want to get out of that mentality, at least at that point in their life. Now, people can change. I've been guilty of doing this too, being negative with people as well. I've done this. And I'm ashamed of it. You know what I mean? You definitely shouldn't go down that path. There's a difference between joking too. Absolutely. There's people that are negative and they're joking, and you got to understand when people are doing that. There's definitely, and you got to have a sense of humor too. Like, I mean, if people are doing that to joke, then it's a joke. Like, don't take it personal. But the ones that are serious, if they're serious, you shouldn't take them all serious. Just assume they're joking. That's the best way to approach it. Just assume they're joking, and it doesn't matter. I will also say that if you are getting negative comments, that is a very good indication that you're promoting yourself and you're putting yourself out there. All right, I do this all the time. I'll like sponsor a post or promote myself doing a selfie video. I've gotten a ton of negative feedback from pictures. I've heard it all. People talking about my soul patch, chin hair. Like, I've heard it all. People saying, I got dark eyes, I got raccoon eyes. If I seen this person on a job site, I would make sure my cameras are on. And it's hilarious to me now. Like, it totally is. Matter of fact, when I heard that comment, it was upsetting to me, and I didn't react to that the way I do now. And so it's a practice. It's something that you got to do. It's a muscle you got to work out. You really got to understand this about negative people, and then they will have no effect on you. They literally won't. You got to move on. Your message is not for them. If they're talking to you like that, it's not for them, and that's fine. So get them off get them out of your zone. All right. Don't let them mess up your vibes. All right. Don't let them derail your positive thought process. All right. Because it's more important that you stay in alignment with yourself. You start taking the bait. I've been guilty of this too. You start taking the bait on that negativity, it'll suck you in, man. You just go into this black hole, this vortex that it's endless. Negative people will keep you going. They know how to just they throw the bait out there, and once they got you, like, gotcha, bitch, and they'll just keep it going. They know how to do that. That's their game. That's the name of their game. So yeah, just kind of do an audit with yourself and ask yourself, like, how do I deal with haters? When I see someone hating on me, how do I feel about that? Am I letting it get to me? Do I take that personal? What is your immediate reaction when you hear that? And that'll tell you, what you should or shouldn't be doing. Because I'm telling you right now, if you can just block that out and just laugh it off, like kind of like I am right now, talking about my chin hair and my raccoon eyes and whatever else people have to say about me, it's funny. It is funny, and it's sad too, actually. But it's more funny than sad. It's sad for them that they haven't come to a point in their life where they've decided to focus on themselves, and instead of focusing on trying to bring somebody else down. And so that's the sad part. They're not in a state of mind to grow. If somebody's being negative like that, they're not mentally growing. That's a fact. They are not looking to be a better person. So let them do their thing. They're just not there in life. They may never be there in life. They might want to, maybe they're committing to be that way their whole life, and they just don't know anything differently than that. And that's what's really sad. So let them do their thing. Don't even let the sadness incept your mind, all right? The fact is, you need to power forward, get through it, but really pay attention to how you treat, how you let haters affect your mindset. That's the key thing. If you take away anything about this hater conversation I'm talking about, think about how you handle the haters. How you handle anything really determines what type of person you're going to be. If you're going to be a person who moves forward, or if you're going to be a person that stays satisfied and mediocre, and which, by the way, also means you're moving backward. If you're satisfied, you're moving backward. If you're not moving forward, you are moving backwards. I've talked about this quite a bit too. So decide what kind of person you want to be when it comes to haters penetrating your mindset, or trying to do that, trying to break down your shields, all right, your internal dialogue shield. Because like I said, I got to deal with this all the time on Instagram. Instagram has the most haters. YouTube's pretty cool. Facebook sometimes, but not anymore, actually. You know what? And by the way you handle haters, if you're going to handle haters publicly, like for instance, if you put a post out there, you put content out there, and someone openly hates on you and makes fun of you in some way, or whatever, the way you respond is very key too. So if you do respond to them with positivity, like I do now, that stuff goes a long way too, because it shows people how emotionally grown up you are. It shows people like, oh wow, this person, they really stiff-armed that negativity, and they're so focused that had no value to them. That did not devalue them as well. It says a lot about you too. So use those moments to maybe try to, it could be hopefully the person being negative might take that as a lesson. Like, wow, that person, that's some willpower right there. Like, that person did not take the bait, and most importantly, they actually tried to convert me into a positive, tried to convert that negativity into something positive rather. So just pay attention to how that affects your life, and how you want it to affect your life, or if you don't want it to affect your life, whatever. Figure out how you're going to actually handle this, the haters in your life going forward from here on out, right? One thing I want to talk about before we get into, God, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time now, waste a half hour of unmuted or muted content there. I want to talk about the 10X Growth Con and what, because I'm still reviewing that. There's a couple people I haven't even got to, and Drew Brees was the next guy. I think Alex Rodriguez was the last individual I reviewed, and so maybe I can get into that. Let's see if I have enough time. Maybe not, though. First, I need to take a drink of this. I got a dry throat right now. Yeah. Man, I tell you what. Smoothies, that's the way to go. Nice cold smoothie in the morning or in the evening, like right now. It hits the spot. I mean, I live off smoothies, so in case you guys didn't know that, I'm a plant-baser. I haven't really talked about it too much on here. I don't promote it that much, but man, smoothies is my jam. So I want to talk about the scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Scarcity mindset basically means the mindset of somebody who thinks that they're, a person who thinks there's a shortage of things, and more particularly money. Again, if you were like me, you were taught by society, by school, by your parents, by your friends, by their parents, everybody, that there's a shortage of money. There's a shortage of this. There's a shortage of that. You got to conserve. You got to retreat. You got to save. You got to be careful. All this caution, this like caution tape around your damn life. It is very debilitating. You don't even realize it until you learn about it. And so that was one thing I learned about Grant Cardone when I got introduced to him a couple years back, was the scarcity mindset. There is no shortage of money. There's so much money out there. There is no shortage of, being kind. There's no shortage of even the negative side. There's no shortage of negativity. There's no shortage of anything. There really isn't. Okay. Obviously, there's an exception. I know there's going to be someone out there who's like, well, there is technically a shortage of this. It's been proven. Okay. Generally speaking, there is no shortage of anything. All right. So when I talk about these things, when I use the word anything, I'm generally speaking. All right. On a percentage base. So that is huge for me to hear, because like I said, if you were anything like me, I was taught to save my money. I was taught that you need to get a 401k. I was taught that you need to work for one business for 20, 30 years and retire. Some of these false social normalcies and social expectations really played a huge part in my life. That, in combination with me having no guidance or poor guidance, has really contributed to the situation I'm in now, and which is good. But me learning self-improvement and trying to be an exceptional high-performance individual in my late 30s could have been me in my early 20s. And so that's the difference. That's the reason. And this is probably why my daughter's going to be a high-performance individual. It's going to be, I have no doubt she's going to be successful. She's learning the things I'm learning at 38 as an 8-year-old. 30 years apart, and she's sitting here watching Cardone University training in the morning with me. I mean, she sits here, she consumes a lot of the content I do. She recites it to me. The things she picks up, it really gives me hope. And so it's very important to understand what you've learned and challenge the things that you've been taught. Even subconsciously, you might not even been directly taught these things, but you probably were taught just by observing people in life, like I said, school systems, just people in your life, your parents, your friends, workers, co-workers, bosses. These are things that can really be detrimental to your internal dialogue and how you think about things, how you view things. And the scarcity mindset is one of the worst things to maintain as an adult. If you think that there's a shortage of something, chances are you're going to hoard something, you're going to retain something, you're not going to take chances. That's the biggest part. If there's a shortage of something, you're not going to take risks with that thing because you're going to be afraid to lose it. That's not the case. All right. That's a poor person's mentality. It really is. A scarcity mindset is a poor person's thought process. And so I had this for 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life, that there's a shortage of things there. Even when I quit my 10-year job and I did a new business with my business partner for those 2 years, she was a millionaire. My business partner was a millionaire. Now my business partner is a billionaire, but this was a more direct one-on-one. We were the only two. Well, we had a couple people, but literally we were the main two in the company, and we worked with each other one-on-one every single day for 2 years. And she had that scarcity mindset, and she was a successful individual. So imagine how successful she would have been if she just got out of that mindset and realized that the only thing that was holding her back from getting to that next level and making millions and millions would be to break that debilitating scarcity mindset. That's something that's helped me quite a bit. So it's helped me put, ad dollars. I was always scared to spend money, on ads or whatever. What if it didn't work? What if I spent $3,000 of ad spend this month? And I don't get any leads, or I don't get any conversions, all that stuff. It just kept me from taking action. And so once I started actually just doing it and taking those risks, maybe there is some wasted money. So what? Learn from it, adjust, pivot, keep trying to look for the thing that works, and keep investing money in it. It's not a waste of money. Failure is not a waste. All right. there's very few scenarios where it would be considered a waste. It's also how you view it. You know, if you're going to view it as a waste, then it's going to be a waste. And if you're going to view it as a learning experience, it's going to be a learning experience, and you're going to learn from it, and you're going to adjust, and you're going to apply it to the next decision that you make when you're in that scenario. So the scarcity mindset affects a lot of people. It can affect very successful people. It can affect people that are in poverty. And it's very important to understand that, though, and to just entertain that knowledge and that the possibility of, you know, what's out there. And there's a whole lot of it out there. I mean, there's endless amounts. I got partners. You know, I'm obviously partnered up with Grant Cardone, but within that, we have a team with the licensee program of a lot, you know, 30, 40 or more very successful individuals who are, you know, millionaires, multi-millionaires. We're talking, you know, over $100 million in gross revenue type successful individuals. And they, you know, they probably had a scarcity mindset at some point too, maybe. And that's something that they realize, you know, that once they realize there's not a shortage of something, the floodgates open. The possibilities are endless. And so, yeah, it's just super important to understand that, right? Because it could be affecting your life more than you think. So challenge yourself, take a look at your mindset and think, do I have a scarcity mindset? What do I think there's a shortage of? Is there really a shortage of this? How can I start taking risks right now with the things that I've been conserving? All right. It wasn't until I started taking, so when I take risks, I grow. Whether I've lost something or I haven't lost anything, the fact that I've taken a risk, I grow tremendously. And it started out with quitting that job I was at for 10 years, and it just continued. I continued to look for risks to take. The bigger the risk, the bigger the win, the bigger the growth. And sometimes I would fail, but I would fail and I would fall forward. So that's kind of the biggest thing about that is get out of that scarcity mindset, start taking risks, understand that there is no shortage of money. There is no shortage of a lot of things that you think there's a shortage of. So go get it, put in that effort. And I want to see everybody succeed. I really do. So let's talk about, let's see here. On that note, actually, I did a quick little post here before the podcast. I wanted, you know, in light of UFC 264 that's going on today, you got main event Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor, and I think one of the other fights on there was Sean O'Malley versus Chris Montague, I think is how you pronounce it, which I like Sean O'Malley. He's a good fighter. I also like Dustin Poirier more than Conor McGregor, in my opinion. Both great fighters, but I do like Poirier's, just, you know, as they say in the sport, stand and bang style. He likes to stand and bang, let's put it that way. But in light of UFC 264, you should treat your these moments in your life of adversity like you're in a fight, like you're in UFC 264. It's the last round. You've made it to the 5th round. You guys have been banging. You guys are beat up. And it's coming down to willpower. This is a moment where you got to dig deep. You got to really harness that extra energy, and you got to push forward because it's scary, and you got to push through that fear. That's how you should treat some of these moments in your life. Even if it's not that serious, make it that serious, because it actually is. And if you've ever heard me talk about Grant, one of the favorite quotes that he has said that I have retained is, success is your duty and not your obligation. When you start treating success in your life like it is something that is absolutely necessary, it's not an option, you start doing things. You start looking at your life a little bit differently, and you start actually doing things in your life that don't waste your time as much. And that actually are time invested in something that's going to move you towards your goal more and more each day. So, yeah, treat these moments in your life Like, it is so necessary to push through, power through, and fight, because like I said on the post, some of these people, I would argue that some people that are watching these fighters might think like, oh, these guys are some of the most fearless guys on the planet. And that may be true, but I honestly think that, they're human and they got fears, just like I do, just like everybody else does. They are just like us. They got fears. It might not be the fear that you're thinking of. They have a fear though. Fear of failing, fear of failing themselves. It might not even be fear of like getting knocked out. It's just fear. And fear drives us. And how you handle that fear is going to determine what kind of person you're going to be. I've said that so many times today, I feel like. And fighters are put in the situation that really illustrates that exact moment. How they approach that fear is going to dictate what the outcome is going to be and how they're going to feel about themselves once that moment's over. And so, even if they fail and they lose a fight, I think they still come out a win because they are in a battle with themselves more than they are with the other person. All right. I've heard fighters talk a lot about this, actually. I've watched some fighter documentaries and things like that. It's really a battle with themselves and their own mindset and their mentality. And so if they do fail, it can be devastating, but it still feels like a win because they went against that adversity and they powered through it. And they got a win. There's still a win there. There is still a win. So yeah, treat, like I said, I'll say it one more time. Treat these moments in your life like you are in a fight and you have to harness that extra power to push through the adversity and the fear of failing and the fear of whatever it is you have. So important. Let's see here. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to skip the review. We'll roll that over because that content I've got on my phone. I took those notes when I was in Miami at 10X Growth Comp. So that information ain't going anywhere. So next week, next Saturday, we'll play a part in his life. It's inspiring to hear those type of stories. I love people's stories, like I've said before, and he had a good one. All right, let's get into the viral viewpoint a little bit here. This has been a very relevant thing for me. I thought about this a lot because of recent situations and events that have happened in my personal life and in my business and things like that. One thing I've noticed, and I've noticed this, but I'm put in a position where I have to do this quite a bit because I'm a business owner and I have employees and I have people that look up to me and I have people that I have to set examples for. But you're going to find this out with people, whether or not you're in the position I am in or not. As soon as you put people in a high pressure situation, you put them in a situation to perform, like they have to perform, you're going to find out real quick who's committed, who doesn't have what it takes, who has checked out, who is just simply not committed. There's just really no way to put it. So you're going to find out who can't take the heat once you throw them in the kitchen, as I like to put it. And the nice thing, there's good and bad. Obviously, it's bad because you may lose some people. You may lose a relationship, a friendship. You may lose employees. It can look differently for everybody. But the nice thing about this is usually when you do that, you're going to find out who the keepers are. Grant Cardone likes to say that pressure makes diamonds. So when you do that, you're going to find out who the keepers are. You're going to find out who you want to have a relationship, who you want to keep around, who you want to be a part of your life, who you want to be a part of this mission, whatever this is that you're going to be doing this with. You're going to find out who that is. And that's more comfortable. That the unknown, the uncertainty of like, okay, I don't really know who's fully committed yet. I don't know if this person's all in. That is it's concerning. Not knowing the unknown is concerning to anybody. So when you're talking about a business, you really want to know as much as you can. You want to, dial in the statistics. You want to dial in, you want to establish culture. You want to know where your people are at mentally, and you want to know so that you can help them or you can get rid of them. Because they can be toxic. They can absolutely be toxic in your environment and for your culture that you're trying to create. So I noticed this and I put it to the test. I put people in high pressure situations quite a bit, especially with this era we're in right now, this year particularly, and last year. I think this year is even worse, but we've had delays. And if you're in the consumer industry or any type of retail industry, you know what I'm talking about. But products and manufacturers have been delayed. Almost every industry across the board, and they're also going up in price. Percentages have skyrocketed. You've heard about it in the lumber industry. You've heard about it in a lot of raw materials. It's just going up. But the demand and the volume that we've seen, and the increase in volume that we've seen, has put production and manufacturers and companies behind schedule. I mean, we experienced over a 2-month delay on some products for certain projects that we're doing. And that has put the business in a high pressure state in itself, just playing catch up, having a 4 to 5 month backlog now that we're just playing catch up with. That's high pressure. So I'm constantly in that situation. I'm in the hot seat as the boss. I have to face that adversity every day. And then going back to communicating, I think I talked about communicating. Yes, going back to communicating and talking about follow-up. That's also where follow-up is key. When you have a problem on the job, when you have a problem with an agreement that you have with somebody, you got to let them know immediately. And that stuff goes a long way. Just the simple fact that people know the hard stuff, they respect that, all right? They might not like it, they might not enjoy hearing that, and they have a hard time accepting it, but I guarantee you most times, my experience with this, they respect it and it'll be reciprocated with positivity. Look, I just spent today reaching out to people for the 3rd time, I think. We got orders go back to May that we haven't even got to right now. And we were usually pretty good about getting to people within a month time. Maybe a little bit longer, but 6 weeks max. Now we're looking at 16, 18, 20 weeks out. It's pretty crazy. But I spent today and I contacted 43 individuals to give them bad news. Give them bad news like, hey, I know I said a couple months ago we were going to be doing your project this day, but I'm actually letting you know that I was wrong on that date, and we're actually not going to be able to get to it until this date. So we're actually going to be another month or 2 out from getting to it. And I really apologize for that. I take complete accountability for that. It's really out of our hands. I'm doing the best I can. I want you to know I'm doing things on my end to expedite this process. Things like hiring more people, working myself on the job, which I normally don't do. I'm doing things that are working weekends. All these things, just letting them know and following up with some real detailed, updated information goes a long way. And I didn't hear back from all of them, but I guarantee when I get off this podcast and I look at my emails, there's going to be a lot of reciprocated ones. There might be some people that are giving me a little bit of flack, like, hey, this is bullshit. This should have been done a long time ago. We're thinking about canceling. We're thinking about this. Trust me, I've heard it all. But the majority of them are receiving it well and handling it well. And they're like, it sucks to hear that. But I understand, and I appreciate you getting back to me. That's the most common response I'm hearing. These are people that have been waiting 4+ months for something I told them was going to be done in a month, maybe 2 months. And so that's the power of follow-up and communication after the established agreement. And that's what I meant earlier by how it's so imperative to stay in full communication and constantly follow up all the way to the end. Even when you deliver that service, follow up afterwards, follow up with a review request, say, hey, can you give us a review? And then follow them up after that and say, hey, just making sure you're satisfied with, I do this, people love this. This is something I love doing. When the job's completely done, I've gotten paid on it, I've gotten everything I need from it, I have nothing else to gain from it. The last thing I will ask them is, hey, just want to make sure you're happy. Were you happy? I know we had some delays. I know we had some roadblocks. This was a roller coaster of a ride. You may have been frustrated during this process, but was it worth it? And are you happy with the finished product and where we're at with this finish line right now? And most times, yes, the answer is yes. And the reason for that is because of the strong follow-up I had with them through that process to the bitter end. So, sorry, I'm very passionate about the follow-up because it's been the most beneficial thing that has helped me in my business and my life lately. So that's another example, though, of how imperative it is. So talking about high pressure situations, though, to dovetail that topic, I talk about this quite a bit. I think it's very important to create a measurable accountability system, all right? And to encourage your employees to be exceptional. And that is part of putting your people or your team or anybody that you're with or you care about in a high pressure situation. Because that is an accountable, a sense of accountability. It's something measurable. You're like, hey, I need you to do this. I'm going to expect this by this day. I'm going to check up on you and I'm going to expect to see some results. Do your best. Take your time if you need to. Just show me what you got. And putting them, like I said, in that situation is, I think that's a huge power move for a business owner to do, to establish the good employees, the ones you want to keep, the ones that are there to help you grow that business. And they're not looking to just work a 9-to-5 job and check out at 6 o'clock and be on their phone. These are people who want to be better. These are people who want to be a part of something, want to be part of a movement, a community, and they want to be part of a culture. So this is how you find out quickly who those people are, right? Give them a task that takes brain work, that takes focus, takes full attention. When people drone out for so long, they get comfortable. And if they're in a situation, they're in a business where that allows that and puts up with that, they're toxic to the environment. Even when they're not deliberately toxic, they are toxic subconsciously to the other people. You know what I mean? They're creating that culture by not doing anything. And so, super important. This is something I've just kind of I've been testing this recently, not for anything bad. This is to create that culture. Like I said, I want people who are there to win. I want people who are with me fully for this mission. I want people who are on board and get the message and want to have an impact on people, want to have an impact on themselves. So this is why there's so many good reasons why a pressured situation is a good thing to have people in. All right. Some people might take it the wrong way. They're like, that's cruel. You know what I mean? Like, they're not ready for it. That's fine. They cannot be ready for it. But what really shows they're not ready for it is if they quit. Not being ready is not being ready. Quitting means you weren't cut out to do it, and you're just not ready to be that individual mentally. You're just you're not ready to grow that internal dialogue I talk about quite a bit. And so there's a huge difference with that. If you can see the layers I'm talking about here, it's so true. Pressure makes diamonds, all right? You're going to find out who those diamonds are when you put them in the fire. So very important to do that. I'm practicing that quite a bit. I'll let you know how that plays out, or if it works out the best. Because I think I'm onto something here. I've already known that a little bit, but again, I just dive into these topics more and more and more, and I implement them into my life, into my business, into my relationships, and I really put them to the test, and I find out how important these things are and how effective they are and how imperative it is to keep my focus on these certain things, like follow-up, like pressure, like accountability, showing up, scarcity mindset. All those things I just talked about today, I make them relevant in my life, and I put them to the test to find out how it applies in my life, all right? But yeah, I guess to end on that topic, I want to set the standard for my team and my environment. I want to set that standard to be exceptional. All right. I want to be an influencer. All right. I want to show, and I'm also learning, by the way. This is not something like I'm like Allah and I know it all and I want people to follow me. It's not like that at all. I want people to be with me on this journey of enlightenment, if you will. I want people to join me and be on board and be on the same ship with me as we grow and be better people, be exceptional, and just be outstanding individuals who are overachieving and over delivering at everything we do in life. I think, and that's a great message, because if somebody's on board with that, you got a powerful team now. Can you imagine if I had 10 people working for me that had the mindset that I have right now, or on the mission that I'm on right now, how powerful we'd be, how much stuff we would get done, how many people we would impact. I mean, it's crazy. Like, so many people could do so much just by starting with their mindset and starting to learn things that they just didn't know existed. So yeah, good stuff, crazy stuff. So, another part of that, I would say, is that it's a little bit different, but along the same lines of the same topic. But doing what others won't do will make you stand out, by the way. And that kind of is in alignment with what I was talking about with putting people in a high pressure situation, because people don't usually deliberately put themselves in a high pressure situation. They want to be comfortable. They want to be satisfied. They don't want to face adversity. Especially if they face adversity in their everyday life, they don't want to have to deal with it at work or this other thing that they're involved in. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to make you stand out. So the more adversity a person faces and goes through, it makes it very apparent to people, and what you've learned. Because again, you're going to share what you've learned for the most part. And so when people do things that are uncomfortable and they come out on top, it's worth sharing, and most people do. And I like hearing those types of stories. I like hearing people that have actually shared their successes, things they're doing to stand out, and things they're putting themselves, the type of uncomfortable situations they're putting themselves in, the things they've surprised themselves with doing that they never thought they could do, things they never thought they could learn. All that stuff is great. Like, I love seeing people do that, and I love doing that myself. I want to stand out. I want to be different. I don't want to fit in with the normal. I do not want to be average. I do not want to be mediocre. That absolutely does not interest me at all, in the least bit, in my life right now. And I think I make that very clear. I think a lot of people understand my intentions with that. I heard my friend Jake, he's the vocalist for our band, he made this statement like, I've known you in the last 6+ years, and you're not the same person you were when I met you. And he didn't mean that in a bad way. But he's right. Like, I've completely geared my mentality differently, in a good way. When he met me, I was complacent. I was normal. Yeah, we were putting in a lot of effort in our band. So I was, honing in a lot of energy into my craft and my hobby. But when it came to my personal life, I was happy where I was at. There wasn't much adversity, like I said, I worked at that job 10 years. So I seen, there's a lot of problem solving that went on. There's always something, it seems like, that came up that I hadn't done before. But generally speaking, I had faced a lot of the same things, and I always knew what to do. Even in a situation that came up I haven't done before, I could look at a situation and go, okay, this is probably what needs to be done. Actually, I can see this. You can start visualizing. When you've done something long enough, you can start visualizing what needs to be done in order to accomplish that task. And I got comfortable with that. I took that for granted. And there's a point where I stopped learning at that, because I was the type of employee that would learn stuff while I was eating dinner after work. I'd watch videos on installing sunrooms, things like that. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be not the best, like the best ever type thing, but I wanted to be better than average. I wanted to not struggle with the adversity and the things that come up. I wanted to kind of provide myself more outs, I wanted to equip myself to provide a solution to almost all the problems, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm doing now. But now I've 10x'd that approach. So now I'm really looking to solve problems. And not only that, I look at problems as a solution and an opportunity to solve a problem. So again, it's just mindset. Whereas instead of, back then I might have wanted to be able to solve these problems with a solution. Now I'm looking at problems as a solution. Whole new level, different way of looking. Both great mindsets and great approaches, but it's just an example of how much I've changed. So that's made me stand out. And apparently it's made me stand out with my friend. Like I said, he's known me back then, and so like I said, the reason I brought that up is because I have no intention of going backwards in life and being satisfied in all those things I just talked about. So I'm on a mission to be an overachiever, be a high performance individual. I got goals, I got things I gotta do, I got things I want to accomplish, and it's gonna take a lot of work, and it's gonna take a lot of grinding. It's gonna take a huge amount of a huge level of commitment, and it's going to take a whole lot of massive action. And so that's going to require my focus, my determination, and it's going to take me actually facing my fears and doing all these things that I've been doing the last few years. Just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, just building, getting that experience. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the viral viewpoint. A few other things I could have talked about, but that's pretty much it. I will say, speaking of viral viewpoint, I'm glad that the mask mandates have been lifted. Me personally, super annoying to have to wear a freaking mask. I don't know how long this, and it's even more annoying that there's still businesses that are doing that. It's always the super progressive businesses downtown in Olympia that unfortunately are the best ones I like to go to. But super progressive, and you can usually tell which businesses those are. They'll have a lot of BLM stickers in the windows, and they'll have a lot of anti-fascist stickers, and a lot of gotta wear a mask whether you're vaccinated or not. So a little frustrating to have to deal with that, but it is what it is. I mean, I'll be glad when it's over with and nobody's wearing a mask, because it feels real refreshing to walk into an establishment and not have your face covered. It's very upsetting, actually. It's nice to have facial expressions be a part of your communication these days. A lot of people forgot about that, like, oh wow, seeing this much of a person's face down goes a long way with communication. It's crazy, because all you got is your eyes, right? And the eyes say a lot too, eyes and tone of voice. But seeing a person's mouth and their facial expressions does wonders for communicating. So I'm actually glad to be getting to that stage. But I think we got a long way to go for some personal businesses, and hopefully that goes away soon. Because people, we're okay now, right? I think I haven't even checked the statistics, but I'm pretty certain the curve has gone down by now, right? I don't know if it ever went up, but whatever the curve is doing, it is doing better than what it was projected to be doing before, right? I won't get into that too much. I did enough episodes on the coronavirus. I think back in episode 40 something now. That's crazy to think. Last year, I started this podcast a year ago, during the coronavirus, during the pandemic. And it's basically, the pandemic has birthed the life of this podcast and many others, right? Because there was that time where everybody had way too much time on their hands. Everybody's getting employment, everybody's getting a bunch of money, everybody was getting stimulus, and and so they were spending their stimulus money on podcast gear, right? Or video games or whatever they're doing. But yeah, podcasts definitely, I would say, blew up last year and this year, as long as this thing is keeping people at home anyway. But I'm happy for it. I'm grateful for it. It allowed me to build this platform and this thing that I created. I started out with my nephew. He eventually, as you may have seen if you watched some of the older episodes, he kind of stepped out of the picture and decided to put his attention elsewhere. And much respect to him. I still love the kid. He's my nephew. But we started out together doing it, and so I had to make a decision like, hey, am I going to keep this thing rolling, or is this something I'm going to retreat on as well? And if you guys know me, especially if you're my friend or my family, you already know me. If I'm doing something, I'm committed, and I'm 100% all in, and I am showing up like the things we're talking about. So I'm happy to be here, happy to keep doing these, even if I miss a week or two. I'm not going anywhere. This is something I value and I love to contribute to. And, I like having guests. I like interviewing people. And so we're going to get some more guests on here. Like I said, I have a whole list of guests that are going to be coming on here, and most of them are highly successful. And so I love providing a platform and a stage that someone can talk and have anybody else come in, live stream, listen to, and see what kind of value they can get out of it, or just watch it. Maybe people just enjoy watching podcasts. Maybe people just enjoy listening to other people's stories. I do. I love hearing other people's stories, especially the more successful they are. Even if they're not, I like hearing people's stories. You know what I mean? It gives me a perspective and reminds me of how different we all are. We all, the backgrounds we have, and how people have handled their life. So real quick here, I'm going to give, so I told you I had a rant, right? Here's my rant. And it kind of goes, it's in alignment with communication and follow-up I talked about earlier. So this is why it's so important. All right, let me start with this. Back in April, I needed a new couch. I didn't need a new couch, I guess, but my daughter spilled one of those little plug-in air freshener things that are liquid. And we left it on its side on the couch, and it all just wicked into the couch. And if you know what I'm talking about, that stuff's highly concentrated. And so that smell, I walked in my house and it was everywhere. And that house, that smell lingered in the house for like 2 weeks straight, very strongly. It was like giving me a headache type strong. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to get a new couch. Like, I can't even deal with that. And I don't feel like cleaning it and going through all that mess. So I did that. I decided to clean it up. Not clean it up. I did clean it up a little bit, but I did not put any effort into like shampooing or anything. So I decided to buy a couch rather. Bought the couch from Ashley Furniture. Sorry to name drop the business, but hey, it is what it is. I bought the couch from them back in April. Was told that it was going to take about 4 weeks to get to me. So then I think it was late April. May came and they said June 5th was going to be the delivery date. So delivery came, or not delivery, the day came for delivery rather. And I called them on that day to make sure, because I want to make sure I'm home, because there's a couch here, I guess, and they help you put the couch and set it up and all that good stuff. And I'm always running around. It's going to be a weekday, so it has to be like thought out pretty well. So I called them and say, hey, I'm just calling about that installation you guys are coming to do with the couch that I bought, and make sure we're all good. Timelines are like, oh yeah, it looks like we're actually going to be another month out. It's looking like July 8th now. I was like, okay, well, that's a bummer. I guess that's okay. I understand, I run my own business, and we're experiencing delays too. I get it. But, I will say, I would appreciate a follow-up or something. I didn't know that this was going on, and I shouldn't have to reach out to you for this. So maybe give me an update next time. You guys have my number, you have my email, so there's no reason why you can't. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. July 8th comes around, just the other day. I called them on that day, say, hey, just making sure, trying to see, what time you guys are going to show up, any idea on that? Like, oh, it looks like actually your delivery date's going to be August 9th. And I was like, and then now I'm getting a little irritated, right? Because I'm a guy who follows up constantly, and I've gotten no reception on this. I can deal with a delay, but I don't really like a delay that's unexpected and there's just no communication. And that's why I treat my customers with the opposite treatment. I make sure they're in full communication, even with the bad news. I tell them immediately. And this is why I don't want them feeling like I felt. And so I was like, you guys told me to give me an update. I haven't got an update. Now you're telling me, you told me it was June 5th. I called, then you said it was July 8th. I called. Now you're saying it's August 9th. I was like, can you understand how frustrating this is for me? And they're like, yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, sir. We really don't. The store should have, I call it a corporate office. The store should have got a hold of you. That's their job. Do you want me to transfer you over to the store? Like, yeah, transfer me over to the store, please. They transfer me over to the store. I talked to that individual. They're like, yeah, so it looks like your delivery date is going to be August 23rd, and it's actually going to get there August 26th. So now I've heard 4 different dates. And so I'm like, look, I just got done kind of explaining to the corporate office how I've had very poor communication, actually no communication at all, which is piss poor to me. And I'm really trying to just hold out on this and stick it out, because I really want this couch. I'm committed now. But I am pretty upset that you guys don't do any follow-up. It doesn't take much to give somebody an email or a phone call and let them know what's going on. And I let them know about my business. I was like, I run my own business, and I make sure that when there's a problem or a setback or a delay or good news or any news at all, that everybody gets the message. They get it immediately. And I can tell you right now how far that goes with our relationship from me to them. And how do you think that affects me when you guys don't follow up at all? And I'm kind of being nice too. I'm like, I understand it's not your fault. You're just a person that works there, but I got to tell somebody, and you're in the hot seat, so you're gonna get it. And they're telling me, yeah, I apologize. I'll make sure you get an update. And I tell them, the same thing I tell other people I'm setting appointments with. I'm like, is there any other reason you can think of why you wouldn't be able to hold yourself to this timeline? Is there any other reason that would delay this project anymore? And she couldn't give me an answer too. It was just even more upsetting. She's like, oh, we don't know. Maybe something could come up, but we really don't know. That's the date it says now, so we're gonna cross our fingers. And so, super upsetting. But all this frustration has happened because of a lack of communication and no follow-up. All right, so this is exactly why you must follow up with people, especially as a business. All right. Do yourself that favor, do your prospects and your customers that favor, and follow up with them, all right? It's just necessary. You have to do it to maintain an excellent relationship, so do it, all right? So, yeah, that's the rant for the day. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you guys my plugs, and then I'll give you the quick question of the day, and we're going to bring it home. You can find this live stream, which is coming to an end right now, obviously, or any live streams on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And then you'll find the posted content on Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Anchor FM. So follow me, subscribe, share, give me a like, give me some smiley emojis, whatever it is. Show me some love. I really appreciate anybody who's been on board with this, anybody who watches this show, anybody who shares it, share it, you know what I mean? I really appreciate that stuff. This stuff goes a long way and it means a lot to me. I put in 2 hours every week on this, and so I've got a lot of time donated to this project. So any help to help me put myself out there even more is greatly appreciated, and I really appreciate that. And I hope I can contribute anything I talk about. I hope that this provides some value to somebody. Use me as an experience. Use my experience as value, rather, and see if there's something you can gain out of it. All right. So my quick question for the day is, what is one goal that you have set for yourself to be accomplished by the end of this year? Think about that. One specific goal that you want accomplished by the end of the year. Now, think about the things you're doing right now on a target level. That's your goal, right? So now let's break that down into a target. What are the targets that you're setting for yourself to attain that goal by that time period? All right. Think about that. Think about if it's multiple goals. I'm more interested in just one of them, or having you just isolate that one, have that get on your mindset and get on the forefront of your mind. Let me know what that is. Hopefully that at least brings that to your attention. If you don't have a goal, and get one. You still got time in the rest of the year. So make yourself a goal and achieve it. All right. This shouldn't be, you should have multiple goals, by the way. And this shouldn't be something, I've been writing my goals down every day, and I can tell you that's been a game changer for me. So try writing your goals down maybe once a week at least. Obviously, I would encourage you to do it every day, but I can tell you right now that's a commitment. Even for me, there's been a couple of days I've missed here or there, and I beat myself up for it. I'm like, gosh, it's really tough. I'll wake up late because I like to do it early in the morning and then late at night, and I'll miss it in the morning sometimes. But get your goals, established. Think about what you want done. Write it down. You have to write it down. I think I heard from Jared Glant that people retain things visually, or the things they write down or picture an image 64,000 times more than just hearing it. So it's very important to write that down, get that locked into your head. All right. It's very important. The statistics don't lie. So that's going to be it. So like I said, thanks for joining me on episode 77. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next Saturday for episode 78. And I'm going to start lining up the next podcast guest and see if I can get myself on another podcast as well, because that was super fun. I like being interviewed too. I don't get it enough. I do all the interviewing, and it's kind of fun to be interviewed and have somebody in the driver's seat for a change. So anyways, take care. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday and a fantastic and productive week. All right. We'll see you later.